Hey, it's Liz D'Alto, and this is the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. From body image, sex, spirituality, money and relationships, to motherhood, creativity, business, communication, and desire, Untamed the Wild Soul Woman is the place to come for real stories and powerful advice to help you reclaim and redefine womanhood in the 21st century. Elizabeth D'Alto here, your host for the Untamed the Wild Soul podcast, and I am here today to out myself on a huge oversight that I've been making for over 2 years now. So for those of you that are new to the podcast, I highly suggest getting involved in our Facebook group. We always continue the conversations we start here at untameyourself.com/Facebook. Those of you who've been listening for a while have probably heard me say this statement before: get out of your head and into your body. And I have a number of online programs that I've run over the course of the years, the primary one being my Wild Soul Movement virtual program, which later this month I'll be taking off the market for the rest of the year. So you're all allowed and able and welcome to join that at untameyourself.com/join-us before I do that. But, you know, I've been saying this phrase, get out of your head and into your body. And it was bugging me. It was bugging me for the last few months. And one of the reasons is I was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with the implied separation between mind and body, or brain and body. And one of the reasons why that happens is because in the spirituality, personal development, self-help worlds, there's a lot of talk about the ego or the monkey mind. There's a lot of people who teach about various mindsets. There's a lot of approaches of thought work, how to interact and engage with your thoughts. And so in a lot of ways, we do come to believe, especially as women, that we shouldn't overthink things, we shouldn't overanalyze things, and that we shouldn't be spending too much time in our head, and that often there is a disconnect between head and body. But here's the thing: the head is attached to the body. The brain and the body, they occupy the same space. It actually is all one. And what was bothering me was also an implied hierarchy, right? That the soul or the intuition or emotions or feelings are better than the wisdom and the intelligence of the mind or the intellect. And so what I came to realize, and I'll tell you how I came to realize it. It's a really great story. There were a couple things. It all kind of crescendoed recently in a perfect storm. I love to study archetypes, personality types, do these typologies. And I was recently on a trip where I was talking with some friends about Enneagram types and human design. I'm super fascinated by human design. Enneagram is something I never really got into, but we were talking about, I'm apparently an Enneagram type 8. And so I was reading up on Enneagram type 8, and it's a type that is really mind-driven, mind-oriented. This is a type that spends a lot of time in the intellect. And in human design, I'm what's called a manifesting generator, but there's also a profile to it that's 6'2", and I'm not super well versed in this yet. But again, as I was reading through the description, it's very mind-driven, mind-oriented. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it's so interesting that I do all this embodiment work when I really am a pretty mind-oriented person. And then something else happened. Michael and I, my love, we were driving to the airport, and he was feeding me some I am statements. And one of the things, we started with I am beautiful. So I was saying I am beautiful, and he was saying you are beautiful. And then he got to I am brilliant. And I stopped for a minute, and I realized how I have disowned my brilliance and my intelligence for most of my life. Growing up in a family of very, very smart people, being smart was a really important thing. And I always knew I was smart. But at a certain point when I got into school and I started to observe the people in my family and noticed that it didn't really seem like being smart was fun or really useful. The smartest people in my family in a lot of ways were super unhappy and super stressed out. So I think at a really young age, I somehow equated being smart or brilliant or intelligent with being boring, bored, or living a life that wasn't fun. So I kind of disowned that part of myself. I didn't really try that hard in school, and this is kind of evidence that I am smart. I still got really good grades for the most part. I still ranked in the top of classes and stuff, but without trying very hard and without really applying myself. So that was a really interesting thing to realize, that I had disowned my brilliance. And then Michael, my partner, who's very, very smart, valedictorian, top of his class, mathlete, competitively intelligent in various formats in schooling and academia over the course of his life, he said to me, he's like, yeah, like I learn from you all the time. Like you're definitely brilliant. Like your work, everything that you do, like you're brilliant. And I was like, man, wow. Okay. So that blew my mind. And then a couple days later, I was on a coaching call with a client. And this is a woman who I had sent my clients the human design thing. I was curious to learn more about them so I could coach them better and I can interact with them in a way that they could be most receptive to, if I could come from an approach that would work best for their type and the way they operate. And this woman, just like me, manifesting generator, very, very similar in all the other aspects of human design. And as I was listening to her talk, I was realizing, man, the mind is a really powerful tool. And I feel like a lot of my work has really emphasized the body and the wisdom of your body. And in a lot of ways, I think I've inadvertently made the mind wrong or perpetuated some disempowering attitudes around the mind. And so I was really inspired to see how this landed and how this was affecting my community. So I popped over into the Facebook group. I know a lot of you are already in it. A lot of you answered this question. And here's what I asked in the Facebook group. I said, curious, how many of you feel like you spend a lot of time in your mind and or consider yourselves intellectual? Define that as you will. So women were leaving comments. Yep, brainy, brain, can't stop thinking, analyzing, defining, redefining, deconstructing. It took a lot of psychotropics and meditation for me to learn how to just be in silence. Someone said, I love thinking, dreaming, and learning, but I'm also very grounded and intuitive, so somehow it works. I don't view my mind as being at odds with my body. And then people gave other types of answers. Too much time in my head. Sometimes I miss out on the present. Yes, all day long. Wish I could get out of my head sometimes. I'm on this train too. I think I spend too much time up in there and not enough enjoying and being present in what's happening. Someone wrote, do I even have a body? Most of the time I'm above the neck. Someone said, all I do is overanalyze to the point where even my intuition and inner voice becomes drowned by the different scenarios I create in my head regarding different situations. Someone said, I spend too much time in my head analyzing and playing conversations over and over again. I don't think it's a strength. I feel like it plays into my insecurities, and I'm actively working on stopping myself in these convos, letting things go that have passed and staying in the moment. Someone said, definitely spend too much time in my head despite efforts and practices not to. And then I observed how interesting it was that people were making things right or wrong, even though I hadn't asked that question. Other people shared, I'm a thinker. I call myself a thinker-feeler because I often feel all the things, and that is tied to me thinking all the things. And that comment was great because it really brought up a lot of things. We think them and then we feel them. Humans are meaning-making machines. And so we'll think things up. We'll conjure up these scenarios. We'll future trip. We'll play things out. We'll have these mental movies. And then we'll respond as if they are real when really it's fiction. It's completely fabricated. And this comes up with my clients a lot. I had a client just yesterday who she was like playing out these scenarios. And I'm like, you understand, like you're feeding me fiction right now, but you're reacting as if it's true. And she was like, man, that's really, really, really true. And so the work of Wild Soul Movement, the work of combining movement with mantras and meditation, it's an integrative practice and it's an integrative approach to get the mind and the body to be able to communicate with each other so that you can leverage both, so that you can use your senses and you can access your body's wisdom and you can learn to trust yourself and hone in on your intuition, but also let the mind support all of those things. Because here's what's really cool. The body's wisdom fuels the power of the mind, okay? So when you get an intuition or when you get some feelings and emotions and you get information there, then your brilliant and beautiful mind can tell you what to do with it. And for a lot of you listening, currently what happens is you have a feeling or a thought and then your mind runs with it and creates all these scenarios that aren't necessarily true, healthy, supportive, or empowering. And so I really want to emphasize and I really want to help you learn to use the body and mind in harmony in a way that helps you be more aligned in your life and more aligned with your soul and your true nature and who you really are. So all that said, I created a free 5-day program called Brilliant Body, Beautiful Mind. And I've created 5 days of prompts and exercises and activities to really help you notice what are the ways that you can leverage the power of the mind and the wisdom of the body? How can you get those two things to sync up in a way that really, really, really serves you without making yourself wrong, without denying that, yeah, you might be badass. You might be super smart. You might be super successful. You might be very intelligent. You might be very analytical. There's nothing wrong with that. Do not stop doing those things. Do not make your mind wrong, but perhaps you need to have better access to your body's wisdom. The 5-day program is designed to help you with all of that so you can integrate the two. I even drew a picture for those of you who are watching the video. And if you're not watching, it's two separate circles. One says body, one says mind, and soul is nowhere to be found, right? When we're creating separation, when we're separating ourselves from other parts of ourselves, it's really hard to access our soul and our inner truth. And then it's more of two circles that are conjoined. And in the overlapping space, one side says body, one side says mind, and then the middle part there where it overlaps says soul. So this is about, again, integrating the three. And so this is a free program. I'm going to run it from June 20th to the 24th. And if you'd like to join, if you'd like to participate, if you would like to learn how to do these things that I've talked about here, you can do that at untameyourself.com/BBBM. That's BBB like brilliant, body, beautiful. M like mind, because this is the Brilliant Body Beautiful Mind Challenge. So head over to that page. You can enter your name and email, and you will be on the specific list to get the 5 days of emails with programs and prompts. We will also be communing in a private Facebook group to discuss what's going on, what's coming up from you, so I can really help you, guide you, and if I can, teach you and offer any insights and practices and tools for you to get mind, body, and soul all synced up, communicating with each other in a way that just feels great. It just feels so good. And it leverages all the great parts of you, your personality, your sensuality, your inner wisdom, what's true for you in your life. These things will help you be more discerning. They'll help you with your boundaries. They'll help you with your communication in your relationships. It's all connected and it's all related. And so this episode is going live on June 16th, so you have plenty of time to sign up. And if you're listening to this later on, you can still go to untameyourself.com/BBBM, and we'll still have something up for you on that page. So thank you guys so much. I'm really excited. And by the way, if you know that your friends would dig it, share the challenge with them. To have a buddy with you going through it is going to amplify your experience and increase your results. 10x. When you have an accountability partner. So nominate as many of your friends as you possibly can to do this with you. I will see you in the Facebook group. I will see you on social media. I will see you in your email box. And I really, really look forward to this experience together. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for listening to this conversation. If you have any add-on questions, come on and post them in the Facebook group at untameyourself.com/Facebook or email us at hello@wildsoulmovement.com. Thanks, and we will see you later. Bye.
Everything is a recipe. We're almost, just like I was at an art exhibit last night, and they're like, everyone's an artist here. And then there were also people that were putting out food. I said, even the person that's making the food is an artist. And even they were like, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, because art is food is art is food. Mm-hmm. And what we do as entrepreneurs, we create art as a mother, as a father. We're artists and actually creating and molding the minds of our children. We are artists of our own lives. So, why not with everything be able to, you can take perspectives from other people, but you're able to change a recipe.